The security camera footage is grainy, black and white, but it captures everything. A figure walks through the automatic doors of the 7-Eleven on Bal Harbour Boulevard just after 3 in the morning. He's carrying a red 5-gallon gas can in one hand. In the other, a revolver. The timestamp reads 3:11 a.m., November 1st, 2015. Inside, Kyle Farishian is working the overnight shift alone. He's 18 years old. He's walking the aisles, probably doing what every overnight clerk does at that hour. Straightening shelves, staying awake, counting down the minutes. His replacement is running late. Just a few minutes. But those few minutes are going to cost him everything. The man with the gas can doesn't head to the register, doesn't announce himself. Kyle walks the store twice before he even notices someone's there, standing in one of the aisles, just waiting. When their eyes meet, there are no words. No demand for money, no argument. Just a gun, pointed right at Kyle's head. What happens next takes 90 seconds. 90 seconds that will destroy a family, terrify a community, and reveal a grudge so petty it's almost impossible to understand. This is the story of Kyle Farishian, a kid who loved his job, who smiled at every customer, who was exactly where he was supposed to be the night someone decided he didn't deserve to live. Kyle J. Farishian was born March 17, 1997, in Naples, Florida. By 18, his family had moved to Punta Gorda, a quiet waterfront town on Florida's Gulf Coast. The kind of place where people know their neighbors, where violent crime is rare, where you don't expect something like this. Kyle was the oldest of 8 kids. His parents, Bobby Joe McKellar and Mark Farishian, had a blended family, 7 brothers and sisters who all looked up to him. His stepdad, J.J. McCoy, said Kyle lit up a room. Friends and co-workers said the same thing. He had energy. He made people feel good. He worked at the 7-Eleven on Bal Harbour Boulevard, tucked into a small plaza near a pottery studio. Not glamorous, but Kyle took it seriously. He showed up on time, he was polite, he knew the regulars by name. Scott Henderson stopped in all the time. He remembered Kyle as someone who was always happy, always smiling. Another regular, Stephanie Sickler, called him a joyful kid with always a smile on his face. Kyle had been working there a few months by fall 2015. Still in training, still learning the overnight shift. It's the kind of job where you see the same handful of faces every night. Insomniacs buying cigarettes, truck drivers grabbing coffee, people just passing through. Most nights were boring, uneventful. But in August and September, something happened that nobody thought much of at the time. A guy came into the store trying to buy alcohol. No ID. When Kyle's coworker Lori Englert refused to sell it to him, he got aggressive. Belligerent enough that someone called the police. His name was Michael James Russo, 28 years old. He lived less than 2 miles away. After that incident, the store manager, Victoria Cross, issued a trespass warning. Russo was banned. He wasn't allowed back. Kyle was training with Lori that night. He saw the whole thing. Probably didn't think much of it. Just another difficult customer, right? Part of the job. But Michael Russo didn't let it go. He filed a formal complaint against Englert. Then another one against Victoria Cross for not reviewing the first complaint. Somehow he got Cross's cell phone number and called her 4 times over 3 days in mid-September. Nobody knows exactly what he said, but it's clear he was obsessed. He felt disrespected, wronged, and he was looking for someone to blame. Kyle Farishian had nothing to do with any of it. He was just the kid standing nearby when it happened. But to Michael Russo, that was enough. The overnight shift at a convenience store has its own kind of loneliness. The hours drag, the fluorescent lights hum. You're alone with your thoughts and the occasional customer stumbling in half awake. On November 1st, Kyle was scheduled until 3 a.m. His replacement was supposed to take over then, but she was running late. So Kyle stayed, walked the aisles, waited. At 3:11 a.m., Michael Russo walked through the front door. The surveillance footage shows everything. Russo's wearing gloves. His head is covered. In his left hand, that red 5-gallon gas can with the yellow cap. In his right hand, a dark revolver with a long barrel already pointed ahead. He doesn't go to the counter. Doesn't say anything, just walks in and stands there. Kyle doesn't notice him at first. He's moving through the aisles, restocking, tidying up. He circles the store once, then twice, and then he rounds a corner and sees him. Michael Russo, standing in the middle of the aisle, gun raised, aimed directly at Kyle's head. There's no time to react, no time to run. The first shot hits Kyle in the chest. He falls backward, his body crumpling to the floor. And then Russo steps forward. Kyle's lying there on his back, motionless, probably already dying. And Michael Russo stands over him and fires a second shot into his body. It's an execution. There's no other word for it. Russo doesn't take money, doesn't go near the register, doesn't demand anything. Instead, he sets the gun down and picks up the gas can. He pours it over Kyle's body, pours it across the counter, grabs a lighter from a store display and tries to light it. The first attempt fails, second one too. But on the third try, the fire catches. Flames spread across the floor, climbing up the shelves and counter. And then Michael Russo walks out. 90 seconds after he walked in, he leaves behind a burning store and an 18-year-old who will never go home. Minutes later, someone driving past sees smoke pouring from the 7-Eleven. They call 911. Firefighters arrive at 3:25 a.m., less than 15 minutes after the fire started. They put out the flames quickly. The damage is bad, but contained. And then they find Kyle. His body is still on the floor where he fell. Even seasoned first responders are shaken by what they see. For the first few hours, investigators don't know what they're dealing with. Robbery gone wrong? An accident? It's not until the medical examiner confirms Kyle was shot twice that the truth becomes clear. This was murder. Deliberate, premeditated, brutal. The news hits Punta Gorda hard. This town hadn't seen a homicide in more than 6 years. People are terrified. Parents are scared to let their kids work late shifts. Kyle's family is destroyed. His mother, Bobby Jo McKellar, can barely process it. J.J. McCoy tells reporters that Kyle had no enemies, no criminal record. He was just a kid trying to make some money. We just don't understand, McCoy says. Who would do this? Why? Nobody has an answer. The Punta Gorda Police Department throws everything at the case. They pull the surveillance footage from the 7-Eleven, hoping for something, anything to work with. And what they find is disturbing. 7 different cameras captured parts of the attack. The footage shows the suspect entering, walking through the aisles, committing the murder. It shows him trying repeatedly to start the fire. It shows him leaving, but his face is covered. Hoodie up, gloves on. He's thought this through. Still, there are clues. The way he walks. A distinctive gait, a certain rhythm. His build, his movements. Detectives watch the footage over and over, cataloging every detail. Then they talk to the staff. Lori Englert tells them about the alcohol incident, how Russo got aggressive, how police were called, how he was banned from the store. Kyle's father mentions the same thing. Detectives pull records. They find the trespass warning, the complaints Russo filed, the phone calls to Victoria Cross, and they find surveillance footage from the earlier incident in August and September. They compare it to the footage from November 1st. The physical characteristics match. The gait matches. The mannerisms match. Michael Russo becomes the prime suspect, but they need more. They need evidence that will hold up in court, so they start watching him. On November 2nd, the day after the murder, detectives see Russo thoroughly cleaning his vehicle outside his home. Unusual. Suspicious. The next day, they do a controlled trash pull at his house. Inside one of the bags, a latex glove. It's damaged, possibly by fire or chemicals. On November 6th, detectives notice something else. Russo's changed his appearance. His hair, which had been longer, is now cut very short. His beard is trimmed down to almost nothing. Another red flag, and it's enough. That same day, police execute a search warrant at Russo's home. They don't knock politely. SWAT team, percussion grenade, dynamic entry. When the door blows open, Michael Russo appears holding a semi-automatic pistol. For a second, it looks like this could go badly, but Russo complies, sets the weapon down, tells officers about 3 other guns hidden in the house. He's arrested on the spot, charged with second-degree murder and first-degree arson. The case is solid. Detectives have surveillance footage, the trespass warning, the trash pull evidence, witness testimony from Englert and Cross, Russo's suspicious behavior after the murder. What they don't have is a motive that makes any sense. It takes more than a year and a half for the case to go to trial. In June 2017, Michael Russo sits in a Punta Gorda courtroom stone-faced as prosecutors lay out the evidence. The surveillance footage is played for the jury. All 7 cameras. The entire sequence, from the moment Russo walked in to the moment he walked out. Kyle's mother, Bobby Jo McKellar, is in the courtroom. When the footage shows her son being shot, when it shows him lying on the floor as Russo pours gasoline over his body, she breaks down. The defense doesn't have much. They can't dispute the video, can't explain the gas can found in Russo's garage. Forensic analysis confirms it's the same type used in the crime. Can't explain the glove, the gait, the timeline. Assistant State Attorneys Shannon Doolittle, Dan Feinberg, and Kyle Stublin present a meticulous case. They walk the jury through every piece of evidence: the trespass warning, the complaints, the phone calls. They establish that Russo had a grudge against the store, that he felt humiliated and disrespected. But here's what makes this so disturbing. Kyle Farrishian wasn't even the person who refused to sell Russo alcohol. That was Lori Englert. Kyle was just in training. He was just there. And on the night of November 1st, Russo didn't care. He walked into that store with a gun and a gas can, and when he found someone, anyone, he killed them. The jury deliberates. On June 8th, 2017, they return with a verdict: guilty of second-degree murder, guilty of first-degree arson. Michael Russo shows no emotion, just sits there, expressionless, as the verdict is read. Kyle's family makes a brief statement outside the courtroom. They say they feel relief, but you can see it in their eyes. This doesn't bring Kyle back. Nothing will. On July 17, 2017, Michael Russo is sentenced. For the second-degree murder of Kyle Farrishian, life in prison. For the first-degree arson, an additional 25 to 30 years. The sentences run consecutively, which means, barring some appeal or legal miracle, Michael Russo will die in prison. J.J. McCoy, Kyle's stepdad, speaks to reporters after sentencing. "We're glad he's off the street," he says. "We hope everyone can rest safe here in town and feel a little better." The justice system did its job. Russo was caught, tried, and convicted, but it doesn't feel like victory. It just feels like the end of a terrible, senseless story. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in real investigations, shocking cases, and justice served, please subscribe, leave a comment, and join us as we explore more true crime stories.